You see, astrology talks about a science or some such things which are microcosmic and microcosmic both. Microcosmic and macrocosmic. In macrocosmos you have planets, stars, their movements, orbits, and their frequent interactions with each other. You say that is in the 5th house and 7th house. You don't understand? In astrology we talk about moon is in the 5th house, whereas the house of the moon is the 2nd, it has gone to the 9th house. That's we talk about the interrelationship. That is macrocosmos. We call it macrocosmos, the bigger universe, the extended universe. But the universe is not only macrocosmic, it is also microcosmic. Within an atom, I'm not talking only about your physical body, I'm talking about the minutest atom. Even in the minutest atom, molecules, molecular space is exactly and accurately proportionate to the macrocosmic space. If there is a sun outside, there is a sun in an atom. If there are planets revolving around this sun, there are electrons, etc., revolving around it. And the behavior, process, everything is the same. You can safely say a universe outside and another universe inside, and both are duplicates of each other. Not at all different. Not at all different even by one's smallest fraction. This body is a microcosmic universe. This is the view of scientists, and this has been the view of the Vedic seers, Upanishads, Vedanta, Vedantic philosophy, which says that the replica of absolute, the replica of eternal, the replica of everything, what you call God or Allah or Brahman or soul, is here. Is here, is here, is here, in everything. That central figure, the substratum, is present in each and every speck of this creation. There is no field, there is no place, there is no thought, there is nothing in this universe as far as the universe can extend. There is no place where that substance, the central tattva, the central element, is not present. This is something which you cannot understand by logic. This can be understood only by deeper experiences. Science is now coming very close to this. I'm talking about the modern materialistic science, so-called materialistic science, is coming very close to this. And Vedantic philosophy and the philosophy of the Vedas have been talking about this time and again. In the past history, many attempts were made by various religious thinkers to contradict this idea that it is not true, that the ultimate soul, that the ultimate soul and that substratum was transcendental and not immanent. In philosophy, we talk about two systems, the immanent principle and the transcendental principle. Transcendental principle is that principle which surpasses all the categories of mind and every category of senses and every form of logic. We cannot understand it. We can't reach it. It is beyond everything. That is called transcendent. And another principle is called immanent. Immanent means present in everything, everywhere, every time, and all the time. Is here now, is here yesterday, it shall be here tomorrow, it is here. There is no place where that substratum is not. That is called the principle of immanence. According to these two principles, they developed two systematic philosophies called pantheistic and panentheistic. And I hope you will remember these two words because they are very important in understanding the relationship between yoga and astrology. Pantheistic and panentheistic. Christianity is pantheistic. Islam is pantheistic. Hebrewism is pantheistic. Zoroastrianism, what you call Zoroastrianism, is pantheistic. Vedic religion is panentheistic. It says that the reality is transcendent, but is also immanent. In order to understand the reality which is beyond all categories of mind, body, and senses, you have to look into the immanence. And what we realize in samadhi and what we realize in nirvana is transcendental reality through the realization of immanence. If that be the case, then the practitioner of yoga, that is yourself, you have all the planets revolving in you, and at the time of your birth, when you were produced by your mother and your head came out, the first breath entered into the nose. And the mother's system of feeding was blocked. That is the instant which is considered to be the planetary position of your life. The first breath goes into the nose because up to the time of birth of the child, the mother feeds directly and lungs don't function. The moment he inhales the first breath, that is disconnected and this is connected. That is considered to be the time or the muhurta or the moment. And according to that, the astrological chart is cast. Do you understand this now? Everybody knows it is not a very difficult thing. And therefore, the diseases, sickness, mental conditions, emotional conditions, destiny, success, failure in profession, in business, in education, including your love affairs or marital affairs, they are all dependent upon the movement of the macrocosmic universe into you. By the practices of yoga, first of all, the mantra, the power of mantra is very great. Although the mantra is a simple word, And you need not say that it is the name of God or it is the name of something. Mantra may be the name of God, but it is a sound force, the Shakti of Nada. And this sound, when it is repeated many hundred times and many thousand times with concentration of mind, then it starts from the same point where you were born 20 or 30 or 40 years ago. The entire relationship between the planetary positions in your life has a different ratio, has a different relationship, and accordingly the destiny, the prarabdha, the things to come are amended. In certain cases they are also changed. And in yoga we have one thing, when we give mantra, we always look to the zodiac sign. That is called astrological sign, Rashi. In Hindu astrology we call it Rashi, R-A-S-H-I. Like Leo, Sagittarius, Pisces, etc. And on the basis of that astrological sign, the mantra is to be discovered. Because these mantras belong to frequencies related to a particular astrological or heavenly position within the body. Whether it is Aim or Kleem or Hirim, Om, etc. They are sound principles. And this sound is subject to frequencies and velocity. The simple rule is, higher the velocity, lesser its frequency. And lesser the velocity, higher frequency. In the practice of mantra, the aim is to increase the frequency of sound and decrease the velocity. In order to minimize or in order to decrease velocity, we take recourse to concentration, one-pointedness of mind. And when your mind becomes one-pointed, then the mental patterns lose their velocity. It's quite understandable, intelligible. When mind becomes quiet, its jumping becomes slow, the velocity is reduced. When the velocity is reduced of the mind, naturally the velocity of sound is also reduced, because sound and mind are functioning in total interaction with each other. When you say Kleem, you grasp it through your mind. And when the mind's velocity is decreased, the velocity of the sound is also decreased. And when the velocity of mind and the sound both are decreased, the frequency increases. When the frequency of the sound increases, then it becomes what we call a force, a Shakti. And this particular force is responsible for what we call spiritual experiences. And these spiritual experiences are not at all hallucinations. They may not have meaning at that time. But they are not hallucinations. They are not dreams. They aren't even nightmares. While practicing mantra, when you are in total interaction, when you are in total relationship with the external universe, you know that you are in a room, you know you are sitting in Padmasana or Siddhasana and practicing mantra, you are aware of time and space, you are aware of your environment. It is at that time the frequency can be intensified and an experience can be gained. It is true. Moses, you know who Moses? Yes. He saw the bush burning, but it did not become ash. He was not sleeping. He was not unconscious. He was not dreaming. He was aware of his environments. He was aware of time and space. Similarly, another mathematician of France, his name was Pascal, he was a great scientist and mathematician. I hope some of you might be knowing about him. His mathematical equations are quoted very frequently in the modern day mathematics. And he was a simple mathematician, playing with the figures and numbers and equations. One evening, when it was dark, he suddenly found in his room a big fire burning. Can you imagine? And he was not sleeping. He was aware, or as everybody is in the night about 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock. And that fire which burned in his room remained there for 2 hours. And he was looking at it for 2 hours. And then this disappeared. Similar experiences, they cannot be termed as madness. They can be termed as hallucination. They are the experiences which come from the depth. So therefore, the mantra is so important, and its relationship with the mind is so important, and its relationship with your birth sign is also important. Next.
We are told we should put others' needs before our own. We should serve others. But just how far do we go with this when there are some people who would take advantage of our kindness and demand more than we can give them?
Well, this has been my problem too. And I have never been able to understand it. I lived with a man, of course, he was my guru. I should use just the word man. He was my guru. He was that type. And by that he gained, he did not lose anything. Materially he gained. His name and fame spread. His personality became great. He became the guru of thousands and millions. The Hindus, the Muslims, the Christians, Roman Catholics, Protestants, all kind of people. And people used to come to him. He always put another's need before his need. Even when I was his cook, I used to cook food for him. So I used to cook, let us say, a South Indian dish, or roti or rice. He used to keep some chapatis, some dal, separately first in another plate, and used to tell me, give it to that swami. First, that was the order, give this to that swami. And then he used to eat. He had a very simple process. Before eating, when the food came to him, first he took a little rice. Rice, of course, he never took. Roti, dal, and sabji. Little piece, and he used to put on the ground, on the earth. And that most Hindus do it. They say this is an offering to gods, divine beings. You haven't come across Hindus when they eat. Have you seen? They take it and put it there. And there are people who, even before eating, they take a chapati and go to the cow shed and give to the cow. Because according to Hindu religion, feeding the cow is the highest dharma, the greatest religion, and the greatest spirituality, they call it. So every morning they do it. We do it every morning, but at the food time also. So that he is to do first, then he is to keep out for some swami or something like that. That is a simple example. And when people used to give him blankets, people gave so much to Swamiji. Every day blankets and clothes and sweets and fruits and biscuits and money. And he just kept on, from human beings to monkeys. And in Rishikesh, if you have ever been there, there used to be a lot of monkeys those days. Oh, and those monkeys were rowdies. They were not gentlemen. And very shrewd. There used to be a kitchen, very big hall like that. We used to close the door and we used to eat. And the moment we opened the door, monkeys stood corner, and with a speed he used to go into the kitchen and pick up 20 rotis and like that. And they were so troublesome. We used to carry tiffin from the Ganges Bank kitchen. At that time kitchen was on the Ganges Bank, and used to carry it up for some sick people. On the way they used to attack and take away the chapatis and rotis, all kind of things. But Swami Shivananda fed them every Friday morning. This was the duty of the Swamis on the Thursday. So much of grams, that's horse gram, used to be soaked in water, and Friday morning on some terrace, some Swami used to go, ho, ho, like that, and monkeys used to come. Because he said, monkeys represent the great Hanuman, you know, the monkey god. Oh yes, he thought like that. It's not possible for me to think, maybe difficult for you too. You see, those people are made. They come with that dharma. They come with that nature. Because doing good to others can also be an egoistic action. You are propelled by your own ego, and in order to feed that ego, you do good to others because that gives you satisfaction. But there are people in this world who always consider that it is their duty to do good to others, and they have been born only with that purpose. There have been many stories in East and West where people of that nature are born who consider others' needs superior to his own needs. Now comes the point of exploitation and misuse of that attitude. I think it's not true. No, it's not true. If one has this attitude as a part of his personality, and if he is not doing out of his ego or in order to satisfy himself or in order to impress others, so on and so forth, not just charitable or altruistic or humanistic. No. It is his dharma, it is his nature. Then the other party to whom the help is being extended, a change takes place in his personality. And he is also transformed. Likewise, saints and sages, sadhus and mahatmas and divine messengers, they have transformed the life of many, many people. It is not easy, as we say, to practice this by everyone, but I think you also do it. Most of us do it. In a very limited sense, we keep the need of our children ahead of our needs. And if you love somebody, well, your child, or your lover or beloved, or your friend, or your husband, or your parents, sometimes it happens in our own lives, we always place his needs ahead of our needs. Am I wrong? We have been practicing it. But the point is, here we are practicing because we consider that person as ours. My daughter, my son, my darling. That mindness has to go away. That's difficult. When there is someone who is not yours in any way, stranger, a monkey, or an animal, or anybody, if you are able to extend that part of your spirituality to him, then it means that you have become selfless. That is called selfless service. That is called selfless action. And when you are looking after your child, is not a bad action. When you keep the need of your nearest and dearest one ahead of your needs, it's all right. There's nothing wrong in it. It is not unethical. It is not immoral. It is necessary. But it is an outcome of your selfishness. Because yourself is involved in it. Now this involvement of yourself makes you to sacrifice, makes you to become kind, makes you to keep his needs ahead of his needs, ahead of your needs. His needs ahead of your needs. If this selfishness can be extricated, and if it is not a part of your personality, then whatever you do, it will, you will not think as to what you are going to get out of it, or what you are going to lose. I believe, I'm sure, that when Swami Shivananda did these things, many funny things he did. Oh yes. I can't even relate to them. It was so difficult for we people who are so practical and pragmatic to understand what he was doing. But at the time when he was doing, I always thought that he never thought as to what he was going to gain thereby. The only thing that was in his mind, in my opinion, he said that God is in every form. That was his view. The monkey is God, and these boys and these ladies who are here, these ashramites, they are God. Our guest who has come, he is God. So therefore, if anybody is sick, or if anybody is unwell, or if anybody is unhealthy, if anybody is in trouble, if anybody is this way or that way, I am not helping him for my gain, and I am not even helping him for his gain, but I am worshipping God. That is the attitude of saintly people. And everybody has a different attitude. Saintly people have the attitude of divinity. And the people who are charitable, humanistic, philanthropists, etc., they have the attitude of doing good to others, that they are working for other people. There used to be in Rishikesh, there are many people suffering from leprosy. I think most of you, those who have gone, must have seen leprosy. And they used to beg on the road. Swami Shivananda brought them together in a colony and had a nice colony arranged for them. And many times the local leaders, politicians as they are called, they used to come and praise him that Swami Shivananda is doing a great social service, this or that or that. Swami Shivananda used to say only one thing. If you serve others selflessly, then some of your karmas, bad karmas, they are written off. Because karma encounters karma. Karma contradicts karma. That is how the nullification of karma takes place. In my opinion, you have to think this very well. Don't just do it emotionally. After all, If you can reach that height, as many great people have reached that height, it is worth having it.
Is there such a thing as destiny? Are there plans laid out for each incarnation?
I don't think that there should be any other opinion on it, because it's very scientific. You reap, harvest, you have a handful of seeds, you sow them again. If you sow wheat, you don't get paddy. If you sow paddy, you don't get barley. If you sow barley, you don't get mangoes. There is always a process of action and reaction. And the processes of action and reactions are always there. In scientific language, they are called equal and opposite. They are always there. The whole universe, not only human beings or vegetables or animals or minerals or chemicals or waves, which you can't even see, whatever waves they are products of certain events. An event took place and a reaction began. A sound was born and reaction began. A tree was born and the seeds were thrown out. One lifetime is not enough, and it is illogical. You may not believe it, that's another matter. It is illogical to feel or to think or to believe that there is only one life for man and one life for every animal or one life for every object. It's not true. Metamorphosis, transmigration is endless. The seed will be transmigrating from a tree and another tree shall be born. Then it will produce seeds. It will migrate and another tree and more trees will be born. That is how mangoes have survived, paddy, wheat has survived, and what you call that fruit in Australia? Avocado. That's a beautiful fruit, yes. They have survived for thousands and thousands of years. And this is the transmigration of the species. There is transmigration of individuality. There is transmigration of individuality. That is called karma. It transmigrates. A karma is not destroyed. Experience cannot be destroyed. No. Every event is an experience. Every moment is an event. And every move, every moment, and every cognition, and every perception is registered in the deeper mind. We call it the causal body, the subtle body. As you know, physical body is called the gross body. The mind and the subconscious mind, they are known as the subtle bodies. What projects in dream, and the thinking mind is called subtle body. And then there is the causal body. These three bodies comprise the personality of an object. And after the death, the migration takes place. and the karmas bear fruit at the right time. According to the doctrine of karma, there are three forms of karma that it takes. One is known as the accumulated karma. What we have done in the past, it's accumulated like fixed deposits. The second karma which you are generating at the moment now, the current one, that is the current account in the bank. And the third karma is destiny. What is it? Destiny. When the fixed deposit is maturing and paying you the interest 10%, 12%, that is destiny. It's not the principle. The principle shall always remain there, but you will only reap destiny, and that principle will again go further and create another destiny. Like a fixed deposit, you get 10,000 at the end of the 2 years, and you take it, put it in your pocket, and reinvest that whatever amount it is. So these are the three forms of karma: the accumulated, the current, and the destiny. Destiny is what you have to enjoy, reap. Current is something which you have to do on account of your desires and passions, so on and so forth. Accumulated actions, which you are carrying with you, and every month or every day or every minute, the maturity is taking place, and you are reaping the interest of it. Happiness, unhappiness, death, birth, love, hatred, so on and so forth. Now these three karmas can again be exemplified, because it is important to know whether you can negate these karmas or not. Is it possible to scrape them off? Is there a way? Some people say yes, there is. There are methods by which the karmas can be erased, they can be scraped, they can be improved, they can be adjusted. If you have a revolver in your wallet, if you want to shoot someone, there is time enough. You can decide not to. If you have a revolver in your hand and finger on the trigger, still you can hold yourself. But if you have pressed the trigger and the bullet is off, then there is no question of holding it back. Destiny is something like the third example. Destiny has to be faced by everyone. Even a prophet, or a messenger, or incarnation, or a great saint or saint, whether it is Ramakrishna, whether it is Moses, whether it is Christ, whether it is anyone, Swami Shivananda, including you and me. That is the law of nature. And there cannot be anything beyond that. There is no exception in the laws of nature, because it is stern. It is fixed. These laws of nature control the human beings, the vegetables, the minerals, the animals, the chemicals, the gases, the waves, and many other finer things in this universe. It's not only you and me.
What effect does Kriya Yoga have on a person whose Kundalini is awakened?
Awakening of Kundalini. Purification of chakra. And awakening of Sushumna. These are the three terminologies which you will remember all the time. Sometimes there is awakening in the chakra. Because chakras, Mooladhara, etc., these centers, these chakras have certain amount of energy already there. And they don't function properly because there is a lot of dross, lot of black matter. Through your yogic kriyas like Kriya Yoga, you are purifying the chakra. Even as you purify, even as you clean certain parts of your motor car or motorcycle when they don't function well. And then the awakening of chakra causes some sort of experience. People think that it is awakening of Kundalini. Every experience, every psychic experience need not be a consequence of the awakening of Kundalini. Chakra awakening can also release psychic experiences. Awakening of Sushumna can also release psychic experiences. And sometimes when the Sushumna wakes up, awakening takes place in Sushumna, the experiences are very great, very important and fantastic. So it is very difficult for many people to make this difference. They just think that Kundalini has awakened. And that is precisely the reason why I always tell you, read in my books, I made this point clear every now and then. First, awakening of chakra, purification of chakra should take place. That is what you do in Kriya Yoga. Then you have to open the Sushumna path, the highway as we call it. You have to open it properly so that Kundalini can smoothly pass through that way. And that you learn in Kriya Yoga. Once you have purified your chakras, you have opened the path of Sushumna, then awakening of Kundalini will have a smooth passage. And therefore, in my opinion, when you say that awakening of Kundalini, I don't think so. What you call the awakening of Kundalini, I would say either it is awakening due to purification in chakras, or some impulses arising out of the awakening of Sushumna. When awakening of Kundalini takes place, then the mind becomes very clear. There is so much of clarity. Even in Mooladhara there is clarity. Not to talk of Manipur or Anahat or Vishuddhi or Agya, there is absolute clarity. Even when the awakening takes place in Mooladhara chakra, there is so much of clarity. You don't have to ask me the question at all. He understands it. This question is particularly put because the person does not have the awakening, he has not experienced the awakening of Kundalini. You see, awakening of Kundalini is an event taking place at a very microscopic point, down. at the root. And within the framework of our sexual system, sexual organs. That is very important thing to note. And the awakening is the explosion of the nucleus. I'm using the word scientific, the word from physics. It is the explosion of the nucleus of a particular gland. It is a gland, it's a physical gland. Just like any gland, you have got many in the body. And maybe every gland has got its own subtle potential. And according to yoga, it is also said that every part of the physical body is pervaded by a flow of spiritual consciousness. So that particular nucleus explodes. And when it explodes, it throws out, I would use the word, I won't use the word abnormal, extraordinary feelings. Extraordinary feelings, extraordinary behavior, an extraordinary reaction, an extraordinary logic. Of course, as I told you the other day also, the lower propensities, as we call them, they are also thrown out. High rate passions, anger, so on and so forth. But apart from that, there is a great clarity. And in that clarity, you can decide whether you should practice Kriya Yoga or not.